Boom! What is up, everybody? It is Jacob back at it again for another flow video on this lovely Thursday night, almost at the weekend. And in this video, we're going to be extending what we did in the last video, which was we were talking about how to multi-sign a transaction where one user is on the front end and one user is on the back end. So we went through the whole process, and then the conclusion was this is all cool, but we have a problem. And the problem was that we were exposing our API endpoint to everybody. And what this means is in the scenario where we have the front end signer and then we get the authorization, right? So here, this is the front end where we're getting the authorization from the admin on the back end. The problem is that anybody right now, so this is the server right now where this is the endpoint /sign where you can get the admin signature. The problem is that anybody can call this. And so what that really means is that if I was a hacker and I wanted to withdraw like $1 billion from the admin's account, I could do that because I could make a front end. I could request the admin signature and I would apply the admin signature to a transaction that withdrew $1 billion from their account. And that's not good. So, especially if you have like a NFT project and you have an admin signature on the back end, you want to make sure that the admin knows what transaction it's signing. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, is how does your backend admin know what it's signing when some client requests its signature. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So just as a bit of a refresher, I've said this before, but this is an extension from the last video. So I would recommend watching the previous video first to understand the setup here. But essentially, we have a front end and we have a back end called server. The server has a main.js file. That's what we're looking at right now. And it has an API endpoint. It's a post endpoint /sign that returns the admin signature. And on the front end is app.js, where we have this multi-sign transaction right here. And we're getting the server authorization from here. So server authorization is being imported from server signer, and server signer is this one, right? Where we have export const server authorization. It's this authorization function, and in which, in the signing function, we are requesting the signature from the backend. Get signatures up here, where we request signatures from the backend. So that's the whole review from the last video. Cool. So what we're going to do is on the okay. So we can go ahead and just run this. So from our last example, so let's go ahead and log in first, confirm. And then let's go ahead and let's run the multi-sign transaction. So this is just like what we did in the previous video. So let's approve that. And we're gonna notice that something gets logged on the back end. So this is the main, this is the server, and something got logged here. It said, hello, we're on the back end, and that's coming from right here. So console log hello, we're on the back end. And then we console.log signature. So what exactly is signature? Well, it's this signable thing, or sorry, signable, from request.body. So what is coming from request.body? Well, we can see that right here. So in our body, we send in signable, and signable is this. So where is signable coming from? Oh, it's right here. So signable is this message that we have to sign in our authorization function. But what we're doing is before we actually pass in the signature here to return from this authorization function, we're getting the signature from the admin on the back end, and we're passing in that signable right here. So that's what gets logged, is this signable thing. And you'll notice it's a lot of weird stuff, right? It's pretty random. Here, let me actually increase the font size a little bit. But it's a lot of weird stuff. There's a message, and this is the message that we actually sign. So if we go to our back end, you'll see that when we sign, we do signable.message. So this is what we're signing right here. But there's other stuff here too. There's cadence, there's args, there's this thing called voucher, right, which has the cadence code. It has the args, who's the payer, this address, who's the authorizers, who's the proposer, what key ID was used, the sequence number. So it contains a lot of information about the transaction. But look at this though. Look at this. We have access to the cadence code, to the transaction code, and that is where we can use. That's what we can use to verify what we're actually signing. So look at what it's saying here. The cadence code is a transaction with prepare, front end, user, auth account, back end, admin, auth account. What even is that? Well, let's go to our front end and look at the transaction we're running. It's the same exact thing. So that's what's so cool, is that we can access that signable thing before the admin even signs the message. We can say, oh, are we expecting to get this transaction? Then let's sign it. If it's something else, let's not sign it, right? So let's go ahead and just add some parameters to this so we can like look at it in the logs. Let's just add like a number that's like an int and like a name that's a string or something. And let's add an fcl.args here. And we're just doing this for the sake of example. So fcl.arg, let's add the number, let's just make it 5. And that's a t.int. And then let's do another one, which is like fcl.arg, and we'll just do like Jacob, which is a t.string. And let's go ahead and send this transaction, and let's just see what happens. So run multi-sign transaction again. Oh, let's actually refresh this page. Run multi-sign transaction. Hopefully it comes up with a little prompt. And then look at here. So these are the arguments it's passing in. We can approve. And then if we actually go to the logs again, look at this. So inside of voucher, we actually see, where is it? Oh yeah, so there's arguments here. It supposedly passed in the 2 arguments here. We can even, I'm pretty sure we can access them somewhere else too. So, oh yeah, right here. So inside of the signable, right, here's the args. So literally right here. So the type, it's 5, Jacob, string. So all of this is happening inside of the object, right? So what we can actually do is let's go ahead on our backend, which is in main.js, and let's actually get the cadence code from the signable message. So let's say const, and what do we want to grab out of the signable? Well, we want to grab this cadence code right here. So this is just the cadence. This is just a cadence object. So let's just say, let's grab cadence. And if it's not there, right? So if someone just passes in like a null signable, we don't want our backend to crash. So let's set that to the empty string just in case. Equals signable, right? So we're bringing this out of signable. And then we can go ahead and console.log cadence. Cool. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So let's run this. Let's go ahead and restart our server. So node main.js. Let's go ahead and refresh our page, and let's run this multi-sign transaction again. And we should be able to see our cadence code get printed on the back end. So boom, there's our cadence code right here. So this is what just got run. All right. So what we can actually do is, let's say that we want to, let's say we have this transaction, right? And let's say the admin is actually expecting this transaction to be run. Well, what we can, on the back end, we can say const transaction code equals, and let's just put some stuff in here, right? So let's put all that right here. Cool. And what we can say is, I'm looking at my notes here just to make sure this is all good. But what we can say is if transaction code, which is what we put up here, equals cadence, right? Then we want to say const signature equals, so sign the message, right? And then return that signature. Otherwise, we want to res.send like an error, right? So let's just send like a 500 error.json, and let's just say the message, oops, this should be an object. The message is script code not expected. Didn't sign. Oh, I can't. Didn't sign. Okay. So boom, just like that. All right. So this says that if the transaction code, if cadence, which is the transaction code that's run, equals the transaction code that we're expecting, let's go ahead and sign, otherwise return error, right? Now there's an issue here, and the issue is that when you do these equals, there's weird like spacing and white space in the string. So what we can do is just get rid of literally all the white space and say dot replace. And it's like this weird syntax that I literally just took off Stack Overflow, so don't make fun of me. But basically what this is doing is getting rid of all the white space in the string. So we can just do that for both. And we can even log that if we wanted to, so that I can show you like what exactly that looks like. So let's go ahead and do that, right? So on our front end, let's refresh the page again. Oh, and let's also restart our server. And let's run the multi-sign transaction here. And let's approve. Awesome. And so this is what that did. So look, you'll see it got rid of all the white space here. Cool. And let's actually go, I think we actually logged the transaction ID to the console. Oh yeah, right here. So here's the transaction ID. And let's go ahead and see if this actually worked. So let's go to testnet.flowscan.org and copy and paste in our transaction thing. And look, it went through. So boom, it cited just fine because it expected it. But let's go ahead and actually on the front end, let's change this. So let's say it's another random transaction that does hacky stuff, right? So this is different only because like this is a different string, right? Because we put some like hacky stuff in here, and that's not exactly what this is. So let's try this and see if it fails. All right, so let's go ahead and refresh our front end again. Run multi-sign transaction, and hopefully this should fail. So let's approve. Here's the, oh look, and you'll see it even returned the 500 error right here, right? Because it failed. But let's go ahead and get the transaction ID. And here we go. Payer account is not so whatever, and that's because there was no signature. So boom, that's a great example of how to protect our backend. So yeah, I just wanted to cover that. Hopefully that helps all of you. And one other thing that I did mention in the previous video was inside our server authorization function, you'll notice that we kind of hard coded like the backend admin's address and the key ID here. What we can do is we can instead make this a GET request to the backend to say, hey, what address and key ID are you using for this transaction? Just to make it like a little less hard coded. So inside of here, what we can do instead of these two, so let's actually just comment these out for now. Let's go up here and say const server admin like signing info, I don't know, like something random, equals await get server admin signing info, just like that. And we can define a function up here. So let's actually go ahead and define this function up here. That is just const that name equals, it's going to be a new function. And inside of this function, what we're going to do is we're going to say const response equals await fetch. And we're going to fetch some info here. So this is going to be API. So this is just like a local host, whatever, slash, let's just name it like get account. Cool. And then inside here, we're going to pass in like an object. And this object is going to be, let me just get my formatting right here. So this is going to be the method is going to be a get request. And the headers, I'm just going to copy and paste in the header so that I don't take a ton of time on this. Cool. And then what we're going to do after that is we're just simply going to, let's just end this a little bit. And then after that, let's just go ahead and return response.json. Cool. All right. And then what we can say is we can take the address and the key ID out of that. So let's go ahead and say const address and key ID equals server admin signing info. And that way we're getting it from the backend instead of hard coding it here. So then on our backend, we can actually set up that get account. So let's go to our main.js here. And let's add a getter here. So app.get, let's name it slash get account, like so. And this is going to be an async, you know, request, res, whatever. And in here, it's just going to be super simple. So we're just going to say res.json. Oops, that was supposed to be object, so like that. And in here, we're just going to say ADR is what we, well, let's just do what we had before. So this right here. And the key ID is 0, right? So cool, just like that. And now what we can do is we can get rid of these two, and it will just come from our backend. So it's just making it less hard-coded. So you can really handle this however you want, but this is, I guess, how I would do it. Cool. And so then why don't we just go ahead and console.log. The address is ADDR, and we can also console.log the EID, which is just going to be cool. So if we want to run this one more time, let's refresh this page, and we seem to be getting a weird error here. So what is the because I didn't make this function async. So async, that should fix the problem. Cool. So if I run the multi-sign transaction here again. Oh, and let's make sure that this is actually like a working example in our app.js. So let's get rid of like the does hacky stuff here because we don't want that. We actually want this one to work, so let's go ahead and again. Run multi-sign transaction. Oh, and let's also restart. Yes. Okay, awesome. So run multi-sign transaction. Oh, and look, see, it printed right here. So it got the address, it got the KID from the backend. When we approve this, it'll go through, and we can take our transaction ID, put it into testnet flow scan, and it should be all good to go. Boom, executed. So yeah, that's sort of the main point of this video. One other thing I would say is that, you know, there is a lot of information that you can get from this signable object here. So of course, we just got cadence from it. You can get the arguments, you can get who's proposing it, you can get the addresses of who's paying for it, the authorizers, a lot of things you can check. So yeah, that's if you want to secure your post on the back end. So thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.